Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's All You Can Geek Gamecast, episode 503. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gass, joined by Mike Sneedy.
What's up?
Rory Feinsod.
Yo.
And Tony Korkanakis.
Hello.
Welcome, guys. Welcome, listeners and viewers, to 503 of the Gamecast. Today, we will be discussing next-gen cost of games. We're going to get into that in a little bit. Let's kick this off with what you've been up to. I've been playing more Grand Theft Auto, and I hate it.
Have you streamed it?
No. You
just hit the stream button. That's all you gotta do. You don't even need to do anything else. It's all integrated.
When I started the game up this next time, I was like, maybe I should just turn Twitch on real quick and just run it. I'll do that. It's gonna happen. Check for that. You know what? The thing is, I play a lot of them during the mornings, and I don't know if anybody cares to watch me at that point. But watch for.
You at least have the recordings, though.
Yeah,
well, it's like you may have an audience in the morning, man. Like that's not a very
nobody else.
It's untapped time.
All the kids are asleep.
I mean, you got Japan.
Watch for Friday this week. I think I'm going to take a break from work, so I'll be home, and I am going to just watch for Friday morning. Our Twitch account, everybody. Just a heads up. You can hear me swear a lot. Well, not here because I don't really. Well, I'll have a headset on. Yes, I will discuss. You'll hear me. So I just think the game will swear a lot, anyways. It does nothing well. Again, I cannot say this enough. The game does nothing well. It does everything okay.
A game that was released in 2013.
Jack of all trades.
When was this game come out?
Exactly. And I'm not going to say, I won't even say it's like terrible.
We're still talking about it. Still.
It just does nothing well. It does everything okay. That's the game.
It survives, Jim.
But I mean, like that's what it is. But I mean, the most successful things aren't necessarily the best. It's just good enough.
Mm-hmm.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
VHS.
Yeah. VHS. Yeah. Just it's stuck around. So I to this day, by the way, I still say HD DVD was the better format than Blu-ray, but whatever.
Sorry,
I'll give you my
real life stuff that I'm not going to bid.
Okay.
What's that?
I still have HD DVDs somewhere.
I know you do. Yeah, we have that. That player was awesome. But anyways, Tony, what have you been playing?
Let's see. I finished off the Bloodborne Old Hunters DLC. Nice. Oh man, that was fucking rough, fellas. It was rough. I spent 3 days of attempts. 3 days of attempts on one boss. Like I think it was 7 hours. It was ridiculous. Like it definitely pushed me to the limits in terms of like, just. I don't know. I just hit a wall, and not like it's cheating or anything like that, but like what you can do is in game you can summon these like computer AI like NPCs that will help you out with some bosses and stuff like that. And usually I try not to do fights with it because I'm just like I'm good enough to handle this on my own. And this guy crushed me for 2 days, so on the third day I was like, you know what? I just want to get past this. So I'm just gonna summon this NPC, and that's pretty much all I needed because within like 3 attempts or whatever I got it. And I'm just like, okay, whatever, that's fine. But yeah, the other bosses were fantastic, really awesome, and just like creature design, enemy design, boss, like just everything about these things is just really cool, from the music to just the environment you're fighting in and whatnot. Like the last boss of the DLC was just like really exhilarating. Like I even like looked at my Apple Watch afterwards and I was like, oh geez, like yep, that got the blood pumping there. And I was like, that was like a light, it was like a brisk walk, or something like that. In terms of like heart rate and stuff like that. So super happy, but at the same time kind of sad because I was like, oh well, I beat Dark Souls 3 and I beat Bloodborne, and I could go back and finish Sekiro, but like I just don't enjoy it as much as these games because it's just not as diverse, because you only have like the one, you have the katana, and it's just like I don't like it. So I'm just like, God, I wish there were more weapons. So just eagerly awaiting Elden Ring, and hopefully we fucking see it.
You're gonna get Demon Souls, right?
Well,
yeah, but when am I getting a PS5? I don't know.
Doesn't it also look like Ghosts of Tsushima is going to be similar to these games?
They always say that, but
there's no way. I mean, it's gonna be. It may have similarities to them, but it's not gonna be as challenging, I don't think.
Yeah, I hope not, because I want to play it. So, I hope there's a difficulty level with that. But
yeah, it's really hard because like I'm not trying to like shit on these other games, but like the last Assassin's Creed game I played, was Odyssey, and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Like they take pieces of Dark Souls to like the formula, whether it's the combat and the parry system or like the whole like enemy respawn stuff. like, don't get me wrong, like it's cool that they're trying to, take things that are
It's
like
the Coke
popular and
Zero.
stuff like that.
Oh.
Right. It's the Coke Zero. I'm just like, it's sort of like it, but it doesn't taste the same. And I just feel like you have to go all in on something like that. It's just not something like be like, hey, you know what? What'd be cool? Like, if enemies respawn every time you like, what to save the game or something like that. It's like, just feels like an afterthought and stuff like that. So it just like scratches the itch, but it doesn't like, give you that full satisfaction. So.
All right. Mike.
So I actually got to play Streets of Rage 4 finally.
Oh, cool.
Thank you. I can't believe we have so many Sega fanboys on this, and I was the first one to play this game.
There's only two. To be fair, it's just two of the people out of the four.
I was just looking to play with someone. And so I started it with Ashley first, and we got to like the fourth stage, and then that was it for her. And then I actually got my friend online to play it with, and I think you only do 2 online. Can you do 3 locally or 4 locally?
You can do 3 and 4 locally, 2 online.
Yeah, I don't understand why it's like that. Although I kind of do.
Netcode.
I kind of do, because there was a shit ton of lag with the 2 players.
Really?
And this person I'm playing with is literally a half mile away from me, like that way.
Oh.
So I don't know what was going on with that. So occasionally we were playing in slow motion, but other than that, it was pretty fun. This is how it's been for me in recent years when playing these types of games. We got to the probable final boss of the game and died, and that was the end of it. Because we invested too much time. We couldn't go through the level again, and that was it. But it was fun, though. I do still kind of wish that there's some sort of like block or dodge. I know it's not keeping with the retro like rules, but I just feel like that adds.
Who did you play as?
I started out as Axel, then went to
Blaze.
No, I was. See, I don't.
What did he look like?
He's the first guy you unlock, the dad of the fast girl.
Okay. So apparently the new characters, one of the 2 new characters, I think does have like a dodge or whatever or something like that. I haven't confirmed it. Like my one friend who went through multiple playthroughs said like the original characters play like they did. Like they don't have block, they don't have dodge, and the newer characters have different movesets. So you might want to try that.
Yeah, I do think the younger version, the one girl is a new girl is way quicker than the other characters by a lot.
Yeah,
she actually has a dash that other characters don't.
Yeah, so. Yeah, exactly. They have more like
if there's one other criticism of the game, I will say the rest of the characters feel very slow, like painfully sometimes.
Yeah. No, I can totally see that.
But no, it was fun, and I've only played through like the story mode, and I know there's a few other things. There's like a boss rush, a battle. I'm assuming that's you fight each other somehow. I'm not sure. And I don't know what else. Arcade. I'm assuming arcade is just the same as story, just minus all the cutscenes.
Yeah, and there might be like a time trial or like speed run or whatever like that. There's a lot of different modes and actually content. A surprising amount of content.
It seems like there's a bunch of like characters to unlock too.
Oh yeah.
I've only unlocked like 1.5 characters so far. But no, it's fun. I hope to get through it again, but it is something I kind of need someone else to do with, because it would feel kind of silly to play that game alone.
Yeah, it was. Not to dwell on Corona, but if it wasn't for that, when we met up for 500, this is going to be my recommendation. Like the 4 of us would get together and play this.
Seems like a good option.
I wonder if you could do 2 local with 1 online. I don't know.
Doubt it.
No.
I mean, I would doubt it, just because that's tricky for people to do that kind of thing, and it just seems not that it's like, oh, this is a budget title, they can't do it, but it just seemed like their focus wasn't on that. It's probably on.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get in a patch or something, because the game does seem successful, so hopefully, they gets additional support. But glad you played it.
No, it was fun. I'm probably play it a little more, but that's really it for new stuff. Just polishing off Yakuza again.
Yeah.
Nice.
And really quick, just because we're talking about I was so close because I like that game so much that Limited Run Games did a print
physical.
of that, physical version of that, and you get like the collector's edition or whatever the heck they called it,
Mhm.
and it actually came with like a Genesis case that you could put the actual
I think I saw this. Yeah.
and I was just like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I have no need for it, but I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
No.
Cool. All right, Corey, what have you been playing?
MF7.
Yep.
Sorry.
Still trying to make sure. I'm not trying to. I don't want to play anything other than that on like video games wise. Like, so it's been board games and Final Fantasy VII. So I'm almost there. I think I'm pretty close now.
Are you
Chapter
still in the
17
same
was
chapter?
like freaking long. I was like, well, this is really long. The chapter.
Yeah. That was Hojo's lab, or
Yeah.
you know
Yeah,
what, dude? That in retrospect, like, don't get me wrong, I still love that game, but that chapter was such a like, I'm trying to think of the right word I want to say, momentum killer.
Mm.
Because like to me, it just like seems like everything's escalating, and you get to that chapter and it's so fucking long. And
Yep.
they split up the party, and you have to like, it's just like, God, like, why now? Like, you're just like,
How about
I just,
this?
like,
And then there are times I'm just like just jump down. Like,
Yeah,
you're right
So
there. You just jump
I
down.
can now mention. You talk about waste of time. I can now mention the fact that I chose to take the stairs in a certain section of that game, and you just run upstairs for at least
that's
10,
elevator,
15
but fuck
minutes. Yeah, it's like 15 minutes of running. I'm not even
But
kidding you
it's like
guys.
that whole chapter was like, wait, it just felt weird because like you think, oh, this is the end of the chapter, and then no, it just keeps going and just keeps going and keeps
Did
going.
you
So
get out of the Shinra building then, or no?
I'm out of it. I'm on the roof right now.
You're there.
Did
You're there.
you fight?
Are those stairs like the ladder from Metal Gear
Shinra
Solid
Jr.?
3?
So the stairs are nothing happens on the stairs. You just discuss things and get
You
winded.
just run,
That's all you
yeah.
do. Yeah.
It's
It-
the
it-
Mass
it was
Effect
like 15
elevators.
It was
But
like
you're
15
actually
to
doing
20
it.
minutes. Yeah, is 50. I thought, I'm like, well, there's got to be something cool to take the stairs. Maybe I get some cool items. No, they don't give you shit. You just run upstairs for 15 to 20 minutes.
No.
So,
You're on the roof, you said? Like, do you remember the last boss you fought or anything like that, or
Junior.
Junior?
Okay. Yeah, you're getting
Okay. There's the boss after him was like, honestly, in my opinion, the worst boss of the entire game. In terms of like just not fun, but
Yeah, it took the longest.
it took the longest. That's
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
why.
Mm.
That's exactly why.
This is just like a damage sponge. Is that what the whole thing?
Yep. Yep. It's just frustrating. Certain fight. Yeah.
Yeah,
Alright.
So like I said, just that and board games. A lot of
You are
board games
You are
online.
towards the end though, so yeah.
Yeah, you're there. All right, let's get into the news, guys. So we've got, let me get the news open here. A couple things to talk about. Let's kick it off with what we talked about last week, which was the misconduct and abuse, sexual assault, all that stuff going on in the world of video games. And now it's even worse. So first of all, Ubisoft's vice president has now resigned, Maxime Balland, and there's another executive there that's under investigation who's suspended. Tom Francois is placed on disciplinary leave pending the outcome of an investigation. So that's Ubisoft's house. Meanwhile, did you have tickets to EVO? Because forget them. They're not happening. EVO has now canceled because of
Well,
all
I have
this
to
stuff.
say real quick, fuck the fighting game community. Like, really, fuck the fighting game community. Like, and it's something I've always like flip flopped about. Because like I love fighting games. I honestly love fighting games. And it was just one of those things that like, back in the early days, like you had to like travel for like tournaments and stuff like that. And I was always good, but like I'm not like pro level or anything like that. So I never like, actively, went anywhere. But I was just like a fan of like certain players and like the community and stuff like that. But fuck y'all. Like you guys are you're either trash people yourselves or you're like just above trash because you didn't do these things but you just knew about it and didn't speak up. So it's just like, fuck you guys. Like,
Yeah.
the whole thing, like the Smash community in particular right now is just blowing up. Like there's a Reddit post that lists all these fucking Smash players and or commentators and like their allegations with links to like all these things. It's like it's kind of like the inverse of like the Sakurai meme where he's like, for Ultimate, he's like, hey, everybody is here, and it's like everybody is a sexual assault. Yeah, like I don't know what's the word, assaulter.
Deviant?
Deviant. It's just like
either way, deviant. Let's just call him
predator.
Yeah, predator.
Yeah, everybody's a sexual
deviants,
predator.
whatever you want to call them. But I was gonna say deviant because they're not proven yet to be predators, but they're still up there without a doubt. So, wow, yeah, it's crazy, and I'm glad that it got canceled because there's nobody nobody should be playing right now.
Plus the main guy for the main guy who started up the Evo, which is the biggest fighting game tournament, in the world.
If you don't know,
was known to be a shitbag and was like paying underage boys to like jump in pools or puddles in their underwear for his enjoyment and shit like that. So,
yep, that's the world we're in. So,
yep. So was NetherRealms pulled out, Capcom pulled out. So I got both those. I'm not going to talk shit about those companies for a long, long time because obviously, they don't want to touch that with bad PR. Just fuck these people. It's honestly disgusting. Like,
yeah.
I don't even know how the community comes back from this, to be honest. In just any capacity. Because the thing is, like, Capcom especially, like, they supported him, like, with money. They supported them with, like, official, like, like, hey, venues, like the Capcom Pro Circuit is a thing.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
Street Fighter 4 basically brought it back to relevancy.
Right, exactly. And now it's just like, oh, cool, we got to worry about that. And even Nintendo, and they usually do not speak about anything political at all or whatever. But they're just like, yeah, we stand with the victims and this is all awful. And even them, they were just like, hey, we'll let you guys have Smash at EVO and stuff like that, as long as you play the new Smash game, because that was the deal, and they were still trying to play Melee for, all these fucking years since 2001. But yeah, fuck the fighting game community. They're all trash.
Yep. Yeah, so let's go on to some better news. The Xbox Series X first party game showcase finally looks like it's happening. It'll be July 23rd at 12 p.m. I think Eastern.
Dude, they need to come out guns a-blazing. Like, this is it. Like, for me personally, they need right. Everything, all the cards on the table. Like, if you don't put them there, I'm just not even interested.
Well, we're not going
to pay attention.
First of all, we're not going to get the lesser system, I don't think, this month. We're going to get the other, but we're going to get games. We should get games this month. So first party stuff, we're looking at Double Fine, Ninja Theory, Obsidian, Halo Infinite will be there. There's rumors of Fable 4 from the racing team. Playground? Is it Playground? So that's the rumor, Fable 4, which would be awesome to see Fable 4 there. Perfect Dark has been rumored. So
Perfect Dark has been rumored for every Xbox thing for like the last 15 years.
If you're gonna show Halo Infinite in this thing, why would you have Perfect Dark there at this moment? Why don't you just save that for the year after? Yeah. So, but I could see Fable because that was rumored a while ago, anyways, to be in production. So hopefully they have something to show us by then. So you're right, though. I agree. It's time for them to put up or shut up, show us what they're making, have some impressive games that are coming out at launch. Not these games are in production because Microsoft's games in production. They don't necessarily mean we get those games. I'm not going to be fooled this generation of being sold on games that we're never going to get. I'm sorry, but I'm not a freaking. I've woken up. I've woken
up 3 times, and
yeah,
that's
Jim the Awoken.
I am woke. So Microsoft, you better show me something good. I hope it's great. So we'll see. Let's see. We've got other news. Microsoft and other studios reportedly interested in acquiring WB Interactive. This is bigger news. And I know, Corey, you called me out on this right away because I went to Mortal Kombat. And the reason why I did that is because the other IPs that like Warner Brothers is doing are licensed games. And licensed games don't necessarily get sold. But Mortal Kombat, like let's see, there's Take-Two, Activision, Microsoft, EA is looking at them. They've all inquired about buying WB games, which WB is selling. AT&T is selling that off. We know that. Just a matter of to who. So brings in another conversation of like, would Microsoft make Mortal Kombat exclusive, or is that going to be a multi? I don't think so.
Exclusive.
I think you're right. I think it's going to be out on every system. Like it's like Minecraft for them. You buy WB, but you still release Mortal Kombat on every console.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more
That's way more.
the more I hear about this, the more on the consumer end, I think this might not even be noticeable.
I don't think you're right because what we've seen already with Microsoft buying certain things.
It's not like I remember that AT&T was in charge of them before anyway. So
Well, I mean, they're done with games now. We know they want out. It's like what Disney did. They want to just license out their stuff if they want to do that.
Right. That's the one thing that would change. Like, so what's for sale is the studios. A lot of the franchise stuff, like Harry Potter and Batman specifically, like those three things, that's not part of the deal.
No.
It's strictly for the studios and maybe original IPs like Mortal Kombat.
But let's take the major studio involved in here is Rocksteady. Let's focus on that for now. Like, let's say Microsoft buys this and they get Rocksteady Studios as their first party property. I think that could be pretty valuable to make a game that is exclusive to the Xbox.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like, we can take a look at Spider-Man and how Spider-Man, was one of the best-selling, I think the best-selling PlayStation exclusive until, Last of Us 2 just came around. And I think it'll eke it out in the long run just because, it's not a MA-rated game and stuff like that. But they should absolutely, that's what they need. They need, a studio that's going to deliver high caliber, high tier, ultra polished, yeah.
Like Corey and I mentioned in the chat was on Discord, we were saying my mind went to immediately what do they specialize in? Okay, they did the amazing combat involved in Batman, which makes Batman a fluid game. So if I can get something like that with a new IP, like a fluid combat, open world kind of style game, it's not open world, but sandbox, kind of it's not really open world, but it is, I guess. But that kind of style game with a new IP, I would love to see that with what they could do with, hopefully we don't get something like Infamous. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I never liked Infamous, and that was kind of like the Spider-Man-esque kind of game for PlayStation for a while. But Rocksteady has already proven they whatever they're working on, it'll probably control very well, whatever it is. So they've done very well with that system. And I think they have great talent there. And Microsoft, whoever buys them would be buying that talent is what they'd be doing. So my thing is that immediately made me flash back to Rare and how they just never did anything with Rare forever. And it's obviously it's different times, but it's my guarded optimism here would be Microsoft buys them and does nothing with the property. Same thing with EA. EA is known for that as well. So those two are my guarded optimistic approaches.
It's unfortunate because from my perspective, it's one of those things where to me it's more along all right, who out of all these companies would be the least shitty? Not even not the best, but the least shitty.
Because I don't like Activision either. I'm I don't want Activision.
So here's the thing. So EA, I have no faith in because they are notorious number one for absorbing studios.
Studios is
and killing off franchises and shutting down studios. Microsoft is not that great either. They are not that great in that regard.
They don't have a great track record either.
Right. Activision, at least, Activision would milk the shit out of games, but I feel they'd still be quality. They haven't really done that badly with oh god, who's the Titanfall developer? Infinity or
no, Respawn?
Respawn, thank you. Sorry, I don't know why. Respawn's been great out of them actually. I'm shocked to be honest.
I forgot they got bought by them actually.
Right, exactly. So
aren't they bought by EA?
Or wait.
No, Respawn's EA.
Respawn's EA. Who the fuck would have got?
I don't know who Activision got you're thinking of, but
right. So maybe now EA wouldn't be so bad.
Well, that's what I'm saying. These two companies seem to learn the lesson, but if you look at what Bungie had there's more and more news about Bungie coming out saying how that was a nightmare deal with Destiny.
Look, I'm not saying Activision is blameless in this situation, but at the same time, all we're hearing about is Bungie's employees talking about it, and obviously, it's just if you have two friends that are dating and they break up, and it's you hear one side and all you hear is the villainy, the crimes of the other, and you're really, are you blameless in this situation? Because again, Jason Schreier has an entire chapter in his book dedicated to Bungie and Destiny 1 and how Activision had to support them with other studios. They even got Blizzard to be guys, this is how we turn Diablo 3 around. This is how you turn Destiny around.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
So, it's definitely going to happen. It's just... I
guess the lesser of all of them would be Take-Two, but then you get the massive Yeah, I know. Then you get the massive other side of problems with them in terms of the crunch with the working environment. You get all that problem.
I actually think Take-Two would be the worst for every like overall like maybe they're not the worst in like for the comp like the workers.
I feel like
maybe they're not the worst for the consumers, but like as the overall package, I think it'd be the worst.
But I feel like we'd get a game from them. Like the other ones, you can't guarantee. Well, Activision, you get a game from Activision as well. The other two, I wouldn't guarantee. EA and Microsoft. So I'm just like, Activision's game would be like, okay, let's go annual release. Take-Two would be like, okay, every 5 years, big budget.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like it would be massively terrible for them. Like working environment, we know that, but we'd get a game that might be a horse simulator, but we don't know. So, yes, I took a shot at Red Dead Redemption 2 because that's what it is, a horse simulator. And just quick news before we get into the other aspect of things, which a couple things to fire off here. We got Pokemon Go breaking records despite coronavirus limitations because you're not supposed to go out and catch them all there. But
this is the one time you're not supposed to catch them all.
No, but they're doing it.
Wild corona here.
Maybe you know what? I'm gonna blame Pokemon Go for Texas, Arizona, and Florida. Done.
Look, again, I've said it. If
I'm the governors, I'm calling them out.
It's been 4 years since Pokemon Go launched, right? 4 years. And I've said this before, but that summer when Pokemon Go launched, I believe, in all earnesty, was the closest mankind has ever come to world peace.
That's everybody was playing it.
Everybody was playing it.
Yeah.
I don't remember 2016 being a shitty year at all.
That's true. Well,
that was a terrible year for me.
Well, okay. I'm sorry. Summer of 2016.
Everything was great up to the fall, but yeah, I got you.
That was the election. But even then, it was kind of like, well, you know, like we didn't know back then. We didn't know.
We didn't know what 2020 had to hold for us.
Right.
Lastly, on the news, I want to mention real quick, Kingdoms of Amalur, which we mentioned, I think, last week. The Re-Reckoning is being made. Coming out, it got delayed already for 1 month. It's coming out September 8th. And it's going to have a brand new DLC coming in 2021, which is awesome to hear. I like that game a lot. I'm going to be getting the Re-Reckoning, definitely. I probably won't get this at launch, but I will get this game, and I will get the DLC for this, too, just to play more of that world, because it was great, and it needed that.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, too.
Yeah. So I'm psyched to see it. I don't know what they're planning on doing. Hopefully they do something for at least recognizing the people that worked on the original game. Like, give them something on this. But
cut them checks, pay them.
Yeah, pay them little royalties. So that brings us into the.
Hold on. Breaking news. Breaking news. Not major news, but the NOA Twitter account just tweeted that Donkey Kong Country is finally coming to the SNES online app, which people have been bitching about ever since the service started. And they're like, where the fuck is Donkey Kong Country? Sorry, I just wanted to mention.
There we go. All right. So let's get into the topic. It's going to be, we're talking about news release that NBA 2K21 is going to be releasing on PS5 and the Xbox Series X for $70. $10 more than the other generations. Now, granted, this game has multiple different versions of games at different values and pricing. But is this going to be what we're going to get next generation? Is it a good thing? Bad thing?
Yes.
Is it? Now, I'm going to make one argument for NBA 2K21. It's not NBA 2K21 has a giant revenue stream from in-game app purchases to the point where it's like, what is the $10 doing for them on this situation? I'm not saying that games should not come out for $10 in the next generation, on the next gen, because I believe that too. But this is a game that I don't feel that should. There should be a flexible pricing structure. It should be $60. I'm sorry.
I just think it's a bad look that this is the first one. I think it's fine if it is for all of the next gen, but because of that factor,
yes,
people are going to be pissed off about it.
Because it has that. I mean, it's a cash cow for them in terms of what it generates with the in-game purchases. It really is.
It's so funny too, because I've played these games regularly. I never buy anything in them. You don't really need to, but there's a lot there to buy. But it's just funny to me.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, and I think Matt from NPD has mentioned it before that price games that release at full price, for the last 15 years, it's been the $59.99 price point.
Yeah.
Are viewed as like premium experiences or whatever, And consumers are just trained now that if they see something like for like $49.99 or $39.99, it's not as, quality or whatever like that, despite, if that's true or not. So, if, let's say just when Madden comes out, if Madden's $69.99 and NBA's, $59.99, there could be that, be like, oh, well, that must mean NBA sucks this year or whatever. NBA is not as good as Madden or whatever like that. I'm not saying it's true or anything, but I could see that being the reality for a lot of uneducated consumers and stuff like that. So it's just going to be across the board. And honestly, it's about time. Like, the $59.99 was introduced by Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, I think, 15 years ago on the 360.
It was 15 years ago. I know that, yeah.
Yeah. So it's about time. Inflation, like
inflation
over 15 years,
way behind.
Yeah, it's been, and even if you go back further, I remember there were carts back for the N64 that were over 60.
I paid any RPG on this Super Nintendo was $80 bare minimum. No.
Yeah.
So
I remember paying for Mortal Kombat. Like, I had to beg my best friend's mom to get it for me for my like birthday / Christmas present because it's that expensive.
I paid $70 for Shadows of the Empire, I want to say.
Yeah.
So,
these games, like, you go back further, like 25 years almost, or actually 25 years.
Sorry, pressing buttons. Sorry, go on.
They were more expensive, really, and these back then games were like occasionally like a 2-hour experience.
Right, exactly. They had nowhere near the amount of like replayability. Like, multiplayer modes were mostly an afterthought. Again, GoldenEye, despite it being an amazing multiplayer game, that was like a last-minute addition that they almost even like, should we really include this? It seems kind of whatever, half-baked or whatever like that. So, maybe this is the boomer and all of us speaking, but like, look, $69.99, if that's what it takes for, companies to pay their workers better, to avoid crunch and stuff like that, I'm all for it. Do I understand that, yes, the greediest and richest of these companies like EA and Activision and all that, Take-Two, are going to be making even more money and probably not giving back that much in comparison?
Yeah.
Yes, I understand that. But that's fine because, they were still going to make money fist over foot anyway.
I would almost prefer a larger price increase with more of a guarantee that there would be less microtransactions and things.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I don't think they're going. I don't think microtransactions are going anywhere. But I will say that I think this enables them to make games that maybe wouldn't get made or something. Like, it helps us with other games being made. It's the same thing with subscription services, and like that helps us get games that should not, maybe weren't going to get made before. Not saying should not, but we may have missed because they're great games that just would have gotten overlooked. And I feel like having that increased budget helps spread the loss. Like, if there's going to be a loss for something, it spreads it better so that they can take a chance on something else.
Do you think that this might lead to more different sort of price points? Since
yes, absolutely. Yes. I think it's going to be a variable game. Yeah.
Well, so the thing is, so when I say price points, I mean, if we're talking about the traditional physical retail aspect, I think if it is the $69.99 price point, we see a better price drop. So I mean, we talk about it, and Jim and I, especially around the holidays, we're like, oh, okay, this game releases $59.99, and then a month later it's going to be $39.99 for Black Friday. Like, we know that without a doubt. And after 1 month, it drops like $20 or 1/3 already. And that takes up even more of that, like the pie, because again, that's just gross. That's not net, because you got to pay the retailers and manufacturing, all that stuff. So they make even less money. So now, instead of going from $69.99 or $59.99 to $39.99, you can go from $69.99 to $49.99. Which is a little bit better, and then you can drop to $29.99, and $30 is still pretty good times whatever amount of units you're gonna sell. At $20 or less, like, how much money are you honestly making? And you notice that this generation, the whole like greatest hits, platinum hits, whatever, only Sony's been doing it.
Yeah.
And usually that's only like for a week or two at like the days of play or whatever like that, where it's like, hey, God of War, Last of Us remastered, $10, Ratchet and Clank, $10, just to get the volume out there. They're not generating that much revenue, and honestly, it's like loss leaders, and stuff like that. no other companies can afford to do that. No second or third party developers can afford to be like, yeah, here's our game on fire sale for $10 for a week or $20 for a week, unless like they're absolutely desperate for any amount of revenue. So I think overall it will be a net boon. It's just I do sense some initial resistance and pushback.
I think everybody's accepting of a $10 increase. The question will be is if we end up getting games like let's take Grand Theft Auto 6. Let's say that game launches at $79.99 because it's going to be online. The game's probably like 300 hours long, whatever the hell it is. Let's say it launches at $79.99. That game's going to sell anyways at that price. But maybe not the best example, but I feel like certain games should still sell for that price. I think $69.99 is a good price for a lot of games, but I still think should be a little bit more considering what they're built off, like what they're being built. Like, what's your dollars per hour in a game? Like, what kind of entertainment value are you getting? Now, sure, you can play a 10-hour game and get, in your mind, $60. You can get $60 to play out of that. You could. I do. I like those kind of games. But you can also think like, okay, look at The Witcher. Mike, what value is that? $100?
Well, with the DLC expansions, it actually was, but yeah, maybe something like that. Because
what do you consider value though? Like that's a
time invested in the game. Let's say you play like Corey. You're a perfect example of this. Okay, let's say Destiny 3 launches at $99.99.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's going to give you, you're playing that game for the next 5 years. How's that value? You buy that still.
No, I mean, I would say I'm a bad example because I'm always getting the most expensive versions of games.
No, I'm not giving you the most expensive version. I'm giving you the
$500 version of Borderlands. Yeah. So
I'm giving you base games.
But
there's certain games that could
no problem.
Should be.
I have no problem, and we've talked about this before, like how these games have been like we've been ripping off these game companies for years and stuff. I have no problem with the price increase.
And honestly,
I do think that we are very much in the minority for like even thinking that way.
No, absolutely. Because right, because the thing is like, and I don't want to sound like a boomer or whatever like that. Because we're not even boomer generation, but whatever. Anybody that's older than you is apparently a boomer now.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is like the younger generation, the young kids have been ingrained about that like, free to play.
Well, it's the mobile, like they've been growing up on this mobile.
Exactly. They've grown on that.
Yeah, that's right? This like, hey, this is free. It just says, oh, I can just get this for free, spend 5 minutes in it, and then if I want to play some more, maybe I have to pay something, or if I want to get this special, treat thing in the game, it's $5 in the game.
Right.
And that's what they know. It's like, oh, I'll just skip that. I don't need it right now. And they spend the in-game currency like it means nothing because it means nothing to them. And so
it's like how we did quarters at the arcade.
Yeah,
it's like, whatever,
Exactly, and so they don't understand that these games cost money to make.
Right? And valued the idea.
Right, and like you see here the horror stories of these companies, and how they treat their their employees because of the deadlines and the need to hit certain thresholds to make sure that they're making certain bonuses, and it's it's a terrible way to have these things come out, and we're enjoying them and we love this end product, but it's like does the ends justify the means, and like I'm always for throwing money towards the people that make things that I enjoy. I always do that. So
yeah. So the other thing is too is like I'll talk about, and I know we've mentioned this before, but it's become increasingly clear, especially with this generation, where I think we're hitting like the zenith, is that first-party companies are the only ones that can even compete anymore in terms of like giant budgets. And I'll cite like the newest game on everybody's topic of conversation right now, Last of Us 2. Like, personal care or not about that game aside, I mean, you can't deny that graphically it looks amazing.
Oh, it looks
the voice
amazing.
acting
Absolutely.
is top notch. Animation is top notch. Everything about the production of that game is through the roof. It's higher than A, S rank, whatever you want to call it. What other companies can afford to just throw money at their studio and be like, work on this game for 5, 6, whatever years before we see any kind of profit off of that? Nobody. And I'll say,
Yeah.
you look at companies that are like that have fallen to the wayside, like Square Enix with Tomb Raider. Like Tomb Raider. If you put Tomb Raider, even the newest Tomb Raider against Last of Us 2, it's a joke. There's a clear generation gap where just like this is Jahokey, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
it's the independent studios really that are only the ones that can do it. Like
Right.
CD Projekt Red's
CD Projekt Red is the only one I would say like that.
and maybe Grand Theft Auto, like because they just last forever.
Right.
And so.
Few exceptions, right?
Yeah.
Especially compared to like we see all the company closures and stuff like that. Like it's just insane. And especially again with the PS4, Xbox One generation, where it has become increasingly clear that like there's a disparity where they just can't afford to do that anymore. You're not getting anything that looks remotely similar to like Uncharted 4 in the third person, shooter genre, stuff like that. So just next generation is going to get tougher, Like,
I think so.
What would like Last of Us 3 or Uncharted 5 or whatever, like put that against the next whatever game? Like you think it's going to be better?
I mean, I think there's definitely innovative ways you can make things look good.
Sure.
Like obviously you're not going to go
Art
for the
style,
realistic.
yeah.
You're not going to go for realism, but if you want to get that realism, like Uncharted and Last of Us, there's nothing can compare to that. Even Spider-Man, it's obviously first party money.
You guys remember, like on PlayStation, we used to have like PlayStation 1. We used to have different price games all the time, and that was during the N64 era. So I feel like we're going to return to that. So I feel like remember Lunar and stuff, like those games were I think $50 or they were $50.
The working design games were always
more.
The only thing
those were 60. Those were $59.99. Those were back then, which was not a norm yet. Because
the thing is, though, lately we've seen it the other way a little bit. We've seen cheaper games, and also like what is the Star Wars game coming out? I forgot what it was called.
Squadron. Yeah. So it's a $39.99 game. So
so now there's like microtransactions and like free to play like type stuff, like so people are very tied to perceptions based on the price, and the $60 mark has been ingrained a bit, and I do think people are going to expect less microtransactions with a $70 game. I don't know if it's going to happen, but
and that's fine. That's fine because I think overall the industry, despite there being a lot of bad actors that really be like 2K and any sports game, like let's be real, sports games, I don't see it going away at all, unfortunately. I don't play sports games, so it doesn't affect me.
I will say like I said, like for 2K, you really don't need to engage in that and you can still play the game.
Right.
So.
Right. But I think outside of sports games, a lot of publishers and developers have moved away from, terrible.
It's definitely been better. Like EA itself has turned a corner a little bit, I think, since the Battlefront 2, launched debacle.
Right, like there's been no microtransactions in Fallen Order, free updates for Fallen Order. Rogue Squadron's coming out at that $39.99 price point. No in-game monetization as of now, stuff like that. So that's awesome. That's great. Titanfall 2, again, under EA. I don't think they had anything paid DLC. I think everything was free updates for everybody.
And then you got stuff like Apex Legends that's free, basically, but there is, microtransactions, but again, totally optional. So
totally optional. And I think the Battle Pass movement helped to like make things feel more fair or whatever like that, because it's not just like you're pulling the lever and just whatever. It's like, hey, you're kind of like earning these things. It's like
progression
based.
Yeah. Although
it's still not for me, but like it's cool for the
partially me. I kind of miss loot boxes a little bit. That I do. I honestly, there's a little bit of truth to the whole surprise mechanic thing. Like it feels better to get something with.
Dude, I open Magic the Gathering booster packs all the time, and I'm just like, oh yeah. Like,
and I just find Battle Pass kind of boring sometimes, but So again, all these things we list, I think it's a little bit of a harder sell though, just because we've had like higher quality games at cheaper price points recently. So I don't know. I don't know how it's going to be taken, but I do think 2K is a pretty awful choice for the first one to debut at this price.
And part of me thinks that maybe that was an error on whatever publisher or retailer listed that. Because honestly, here's the thing: like the best way to get that buy-in, and at least for the grand audience. Again,
it's got to be.
It's got to be on a
like
press
story.
Right.
You want to control the message is the whole thing.
You want to
don't
control
want
the
it to come like a leaked image come out and you're like, oh shit.
Right. You want to be Microsoft or Sony that's on the stage instead of saying, wow, look how awesome Halo Infinite is, or look how awesome Uncharted 5 is. It's, thanks to the power of our new hardware, it's pushing games beyond our limitations, beyond our wildest dreams. And because of that, we need a little bit more money. $69.99.
We need a little bit more money.
Just a little bit more funding here.
I mean, I remember though, Ocarina was $70 on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there were some certain cards.
And any N64 cartridge.
$70. Yep.
Sure, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So. All right.
So we don't have to dwell on it too much, but the one thing I did raise my brow at, because with the Xbox, they've been pushing that whole smart delivery thing.
Sure.
And I'm not 100% positive I have the messaging here right, but my interpretation was that with this 2K listing, supposedly you can't just buy like the $59.99, the $60. I'm just saying $60. The $60 version of the Xbox One version of the game and play it on your Xbox Series X. You'll have to buy it and then pay a certain amount to make that $10 difference anyway. That 2K did some scummy shit where it's like, oh,
but either way, the game should play on the Xbox Series X. Either way.
That's what I read.
Maybe not up-res, but it should work.
The idea should be like these are totally new. It's like a totally different game, like from the ground up.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, I could see a lot of these publishers being scummy about that, especially if Microsoft guys like buy it on Xbox One and it carries over to you whenever you do decide to upgrade to an Xbox Series X. Our games are there for you. Your games are there for you. And publishers like, well, shit, we could have made $10 more, like out of this deal and shit like that. So I could see this.
I do think a lot of these smart delivery things are truly just really the last gen, but could benefit from the advantages. Like Cyberpunk was pretty much, it's been in development in 7 years, so it's this current last gen game that they can up-res.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that companies or the publishers, they could be like, well, you do have the Xbox X1 version, whatever. It's not really the new one. You gotta get that Series X newness if you want all the features. Like I could see that happening,
Right. It's like you pay the $10 to unlock the 4K assets or whatever like that.
Yeah.
I think.
You could even go work and be like, hey, this mode is only in.
Right.
Multiplayer only.
Franchise mode is only in this, or Ultimate Team is only in this version.
Yeah.
It's like an expansion pack.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think we all agree it's time for increased prices. 15 years, even for $10. I mean, that's not even $1 a year, in terms of inflation.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
I'm for it, and if anything, I think it'll help indies too, because maybe they can start pricing a little bit higher.
I think they'd be at like $39.49. You're in there.
Yeah, right, exactly.
You're there now.
Because I feel like indies are boxed to like that $20. Right.
I see 19 and 30. Yeah.
Yeah. Like even few. I don't think I see that many for 30, but like $20.
Yeah.
Like
$24.99 is like the top.
Like the highest. I think it was like what I paid for Hollow Knight or something like that.
Yeah, it's like.
So yeah, you're looking at $40 for an indie game now. I think you could do pretty safely if that's the case. Right. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that's helped.
Lastly, happy anniversary to Rocket League, 5 years.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 5 years.
Oh yeah, I had to wait through an update to play it again last night. It's like 5 years. Like, oh cool. I can't believe I've actually been playing that game on and off, obviously, for 5 years. But it's just so solid.
Staying power. Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
Simple.
What are you gonna do when they come out with Rocket League 2?
I don't know if they're gonna do that.
I don't think they will, especially because they're under the Epic umbrella now, and Epic's all about cross-platform play. This that, and the other thing. Like I think it's just, hey, we're gonna continue to update Rocket League until we need to port it over to, because it runs on Unreal Engine. So I can't imagine it'd be too hard to be like, hey, you just need to be on Unreal 5 now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like good for them. That was. Yeah. I remember being excited for that. I was like, oh shit, like Rocket League, and like. Don't get me wrong, I like the game. I'm not good at it, and the whole, like, I don't know, online community, whatever. But I mean, I love it. Like the concept, everything that they did with it, just awesome. You know.
Yeah.
Right place, right time too. So.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. That's going to wrap up 200. Oh, geez, 200. 503
200.
of
Back in
Jesus.
time.
Whew.
I'd like to be 6 years younger,
503
but
of the Gamecast. Thanks for tuning in. You can write us podcast at allyoucangeek.net. Follow us on Twitter, allyoucangeek. Like us on Facebook. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe, the like button. We appreciate it. See you guys next week. We're out.